And it sounds like tainted love to me, Kevin Miller. KIDO Talk Radio, more of your phone calls in a minute. We'll hear from the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, Tea Party Bob. But joining us once again, our great friend Phil Kerpen. Take a look at energy and what some Republicans are doing that you might not agree with from American Commitment. Phil, good to have you back.
Hey, Kevin, great to be with you.
So we've got a Colorado Republican that, seems to be more in line with Obama than he is with President Trump.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing. A couple of weeks ago, the first Republican to sign on to reimposing Obama's internet taxes and regulations came out and gave a speech and said, I'm signing on to the discharge petition on the Democrats' bill to put the Obama regulations and taxes on the internet back on. And this is a guy who just a few months before had said it was a non-starter for him and he would never do it, and then he completely flipped. And so I thought that was a little bit bizarre. But, there actually is, I think, a very useful lesson there, because the biggest liberal groups that have been pushing for him to do precisely that attacked him for caving anyway. They said it wasn't good enough. They didn't like his bill. And then a week after that, we had something similar with a congressman from Florida who came out for a carbon tax. Similar situation, sort of a Hillary Clinton-leaning kind of district. This guy thinks if I go left on a major policy issue, I'll be adored by the liberals, and he introduced a carbon tax bill. All the environmental groups put out statements attacking him, saying it wasn't good enough. And, I kind of linked these two things together in my most recent column because, I think the lesson here should be very clear. Whatever issue you're talking about, as a Republican, you're never going to satisfy the left by caving to them, because they're always going to prefer a real Democrat to you. And all you're going to do is anger your own people. And so I think these guys both made a pretty bad mistake, and I hope that others are watching and learn this lesson without having to learn it the hard way.
Well, it seems to be that's the Republican Party's establishment. Let's just try to co-opt the Democrats' message and agenda, and in the end, it bites them in the derriere. We go back to
it just never works, Kevin. Right? It never works because the liberals will always prefer a real Democrat to a pretend Democrat, and all you're going to do is dispirit your own people.
Bill, what do you think of what the president's up to? And we've got unemployment numbers out today. Things seem to be looking up, especially in your jurisdiction, the energy sector.
Yeah, definitely another strong employment report, and I think the energy has been a major strength. The energy dominance agenda of this administration has been a major contributor to the robust economy. I think unemployment ticked back down to 3.9%. Anytime unemployment has a 3 in front of it, you're in a pretty strong economy. Wage growth is still a little bit less than I'd like to see. I think it's about 2.7% year over year. I'm still hoping that we'll see an acceleration on that side of things. But we're in a very strong economy, no question about it. And certainly the big news this week in the energy space is the DOT came out yesterday with a proposal to revise the Obama administration fuel economy rules, which weren't even really Obama administration rules. They were outsourced to California. They cut a deal where Sacramento gets to set the fuel economy standards for the whole country. Think about how insane that is. And under the Obama scheme, everyone in America was paying higher prices for cars and trucks so that California could subsidize electric vehicles for rich people there. So they're going to unwind that, which I think is a very welcome development. Cars and trucks are going to be a few $1,000s less expensive as a consequence of that. They're also going to be safer. And so they're willing to stand up to the media and the environmentalist groups in California and the inevitable litigation. You've seen some of that onslaught over the last day or so. This is an administration that is willing to do things that polite opinion among the elites in New York and California and Washington think no one will ever do. The way they designed this scheme where they let California set the standards for the country, they figure no one's ever going to touch that. They designed it that way. No Republican's going to be willing to take that on. And this is a president who doesn't care. He doesn't care that the media is going to attack him with headlines about, wants more pollution and is only for the rich people and all the crazy things they say day after day after day. This administration is going to move forward with a pro-growth, pro-worker, pro-American agenda, regardless of the howls of protest that they get every single day. And it's been pretty remarkable to see, and the policies have been working.
Phil, if people want more information about your group, American Commitment, what can they do?
AmericanCommitment.org.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Exciting show this morning. I'm really enjoying it. Now, let me start off with a statement that the media doesn't need solidarity. It needs accountability. Jim Acosta is nothing more than an irrelevant, loudmouth circus barker who wouldn't know a good news story from one of Grimm's fairy tales. The more Acosta speaks, the less relevant he becomes. You know, it's a sad day when the president's press secretary has to put up with the rantings of the likes of someone who is less accomplished than my dog Max when it comes to reporting the news. He is nothing more than an instigator who is trying to become recognized as somebody who is really a nobody. You know, Trump is not the first president to be attacked by the press. John Adams, our second president, was so concerned about foreign influence with the French on our press, he signed into law the 1798 Sedition Act, which made it publishing anything critical about the government illegal. Of course, that was overturned by Jefferson in 1800. Theodore Roosevelt despised the press. He called them a bunch of muckrakers for their sensationalism and false reporting. Roosevelt said the media were liars, no better than thieves. And if mediocrity takes the form of slander, they may be the worst of most thieves. He even tried to sue the newspapers for the coverage of his purchase.
Aren't you a member of the press?
Yes, indeed.
So you and Jim Acosta, actually are colleagues.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm in his category. I couldn't sink that low. You'd have to be underwater in the swamp to be in his category.
I don't know. Gem State Patriot, CNN, Idaho Press Club.
Go ask Betsy Russell. She'll tell you whether I'm a member or not.
Well, maybe you're just bitter that you're not a member of the Idaho Press Club.
No. You know, all of these presidents had problems with the press. Kennedy had problems. I mean, it got to the point where the Baltimore Sun, they said the new censor rules recall the days of Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda chief, when he put censorship on foreign policy.
The press protected Kennedy.
No, not really. Not really.
With all those affairs going on and everything else, compared to what? I'm sorry, I was trying to have a question here. Is that okay?
Yes, I know. Go ahead.
You get excited.
Yeah, I know.
With all those affairs going on, and old Joe with his days as a bootlegger. You're telling me, and what they did to Nixon, you can't say that the press didn't. They protected Kennedy. He was their boy.
Yeah, but you know, Nixon, he did not. He called the press elites. In fact, he threatened his press secretary. He was going to fire him if he didn't keep the media out of the White House.
My boy Nixon.
You know, there was a guy, and that Lyndon Johnson was no better. He hated the press, and they hated him.
Well, Lyndon Johnson was not a very nice man.
Well, look, there was always a credibility gap between everything Johnson said and what he did. But when you look at Trump, you know, he has plenty of good company, and he's handled this better than most of his predecessors. And he has the advantage of going around them with the social media accounts. So I'd say he's doing a hell of a good job, and I'm not really concerned about him and the press beating him up.
Right, but back to the point, do you consider the press the enemy?
They have been. I mean, the press has been the enemy of politicians through all of history. It's never changed. Why would you think it would change now with Trump? It's just gotten a little bit more serious and a little more
I don't
intense.
know. The press wasn't an enemy of Obama.
Well, he had his times too. We could go back through history and find some times. I don't believe that.
I don't think the press ever attacked Obama.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll come up with the instances where he did, and then you will apologize.
You're wrong and I'm right.
No,
can anybody?
That's not true.
Here we have Tea Party Bob taking the side of Obama. Can anybody ever figure out a time when the press attacked Obama?
I will come up with the one or two times that they did.
See, he's up for the challenge. But look, I'm throwing that out to the audience at 580-5436. I think you're wrong, with all due respect.
Well, unfortunately, you're wrong.
Have a great day.
You too, my friend. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.
All right, a spirited conversation with Tea Party Bob. If you're wondering what this is all about, this is what happened yesterday in the White House.
I just wanted to follow up on Sarah's question from NPR. She asked you about Ivanka Trump's statement that the press is not the enemy of the people. And she asked you whether or not the press is the enemy of the people. You read off a laundry list of your concerns about the press and things that you feel like are misreported, but you did not say that the press is not the enemy of the people. And I think it would be a good thing if you were to say right here at this briefing that the press, the people who are gathered in this room right now, doing their jobs every day, asking questions of officials like the ones you brought forward earlier, are not the enemy of the people. I think we deserve that.
I think the president has made his position known. I also think it's ironic. I'm trying to answer your question. Okay, well, I politely waited, and I even called on you despite the fact that you interrupted me while calling on your colleague. Well, I said it's ironic.
Which is why I interrupted.
I'm trying.
But if you finish, if you would not mind letting me have a follow-up, that would be fine. But
it's ironic, Jim, that not only you and the media attack the president for his rhetoric when they frequently lower the level of conversation in this country. Repeatedly, the media resorts to personal attacks without any content other than to incite anger. The media has attacked me personally on a number of occasions, including your own network, said I should be harassed as a life sentence, that I should be choked. ICE officials are not welcomed in their place of worship, and personal information is shared on the Internet. When I was hosted by the Correspondents Association, of which almost all of you are members of, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. In fact, as I know, as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection. The media continues to ratchet up the verbal assault against the president and everyone in this administration, and certainly we have a role to play, but the media has a role to play for the discourse in this country as well.
And sir, if you don't mind, if I may follow up, excuse me, you did not say in the course of those remarks that you just made that the press is not the enemy of the people. Are we to take it from what you just said? We all get put through the ringer. We all get put in the meat grinder in this town, and you're no exception. And I'm sorry that that happened to you. I wish that had not happened. But for the sake of this room, the people who are in this room, this democracy, this country, all the people around the world are watching what you're saying, Sarah, and the White House for the United States of America, the President of the United States should not refer to us as the enemy of the people. His own daughter acknowledges that, and all I'm asking you to do, Sarah, is to acknowledge that right now and right here.
I appreciate your passion. I share it. I've addressed this question. I've addressed my personal feelings. I'm here to speak on behalf of the president. He's made his comments clear.
There we have it yesterday at the White House. You might have heard Sean Hannity covering this to begin with. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And I love, instead of asking a question, Jim Acosta from CNN is lecturing the president, lecturing the press secretary, lecturing everybody that the press is not the enemy of the people. Well, when the press decides to take a side, they're either with us or against us. And certainly the press loved Hillary Clinton. Anyway, I could go on, but this show is yours. 580-5436. Do you agree with that statement? The press is the enemy of the people. We'll take your calls on that. And just listening to Sarah Sanders, can you not just be touched by what she's gone through as a person? You know, where are their hearts? This is a mom. She's a wife. She's a daughter. And yet, these sycophants in the media cannot give it up. Huh? I mean, eventually, you just have to say, okay, I'm not going there. You know, where is their decorum? Where is their class? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Whatever happened to fair press? Whatever happened to honest reporting? But they can make anything bad because they are the fake, disgusting news.
Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Blessed to be with you. Taking your thoughts on the enemy of the people, public enemy number one, the press. Jerry in Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Morning, Kevin. I don't think the press is totally the enemy of the people. I think they're probably befriended to almost half the people in the country. The other half who agree with the fundamentals that this country was founded on and are totally against the Obama agenda of rearranging all the chairs in the room. I don't think they're doing them any favors. Whether they're an enemy or not, I guess, since everything in this country has been politicized so badly, I expect that they are probably political enemy number one, according to most of us who listen to this program.
Well, Jerry, I would agree with you. There are some people that do good jobs and make a difference. And yet you have people, whether it's Jim Acosta. I mean, you're thinking to yourself, and Jerry, this happens in life. It happens in business. It happens in personal discussions. You get into an argument, and how far are you willing to go? And most men and most women of class, they have to make a decision on how low or how far they're going to take something. And here you have Sarah Sanders saying, look, I've got Secret Service protection. My life has been threatened. And accosted, all he can say is, well, I'm sorry that happened, but back to my point. Sometimes dignity.
I think I think she nailed him dead on. I think he's a liberal liar, like most of them. And he got called on it. And didn't he leave the room in a snit?
He did.
Well, there's the poster boy for snowflakes right there. What a big man. He let a woman kick him out of the room.
And
how's that going to work, Jim?
Right. Well, now Jim's a victim.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he'll probably need some psychotherapy.
Well, she's bullying him.
Well, according to some people, liberalism's a mental disease, so they probably all need psychotherapy.
Jerry, we appreciate your phone call this morning on KIDO
Thanks,
Talk Radio.
Kevin. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Michael in Boise, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I love your show.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think when the statement comes out that is the press the enemy of the people, I think that's awfully, broad. I think it's really, really dangerous to brand the press, because who are we supposed to get any type of news on when the administration's positions, consistently involve misleading statements or outright lies, and then they're caught a little bit later and they keep evolving, such as the Russia meeting, things like that. It's just very dangerous. Who are we supposed to believe ever? Is there a news source to report the actual news we can believe in? Now, I see both sides of the story quite often. However, I think it's extremely dangerous if you're going to brand any type of news source, start chanting like it's they're going to kill him after the rally. Last night, for example, we had a rally. We had a rally where the president said the Russia investigation is a hoax. Well, we've been finding out as time goes on, it's not quite a hoax. A lot of indictments against Russia, so on and so forth. If the president had his way, it would have been called off long ago before we learned that evidence. However, the press is the one that's reporting those things as we go along. Are we supposed to discount that, take the president's word constantly that he's right, everyone else is wrong, and there's real investigative reporting going on? What about the Nixon era? Who broke the stories against Nixon? Are we supposed to believe the supporters kill that story right away before it has a chance to revolve? Well, no, I don't think the press is the enemy of the people. I think we have to keep an open mind. And I do agree with the president on a lot of issues, but I also think it's extremely dangerous just to blanket believe him as time goes on throughout his presidency. If we had, we would have been proven wrong quite often. And I appreciate letting me speak, Kevin. I love your show.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. You want to respond to Michael? And that's the beauty of this program. We're not going to sit there and go back and forth. We love to hear what everybody has to say, whether people agree or not. Back to this issue about the press, there is a responsibility, though, to be honest. And whether you see it at whatever level, we see people now becoming the story. And, I was trained in the Army as a journalist. I have a great deal of respect for great journalists. But when you start badgering someone, when you start harassing someone, when you start putting your own personal opinion in it, then you're not fair. I mean, where is a fair person? And if the journalist did not have an agenda, this show would be out of business. Sean would be out of business. We'd all be out of business. I wish there was a balance. And then you have the guy from Playboy yelling. That's not respecting someone. It's just like Michael who called in. Michael and I probably don't agree on, the press, but he made some great points. My feeling is you have to step up. There are great journalists that do wonderful work at the local level. What's it going to take? Critical thinking, which is what this program's about. Someone calls in, you don't agree, you bring up the facts. We talk about the press. Where was the press during Obama? Where was the press when the NSA illegally went after Fox News' James Rosen? Where was the press when thousands of people across the country were targeted because they were conservative, because they funded Prop 8, which was successful in California, because they were members of the Tea Party? And where was the press when you would have people urging violence against people in the Tea Party? Oh, well, they're extremists. Life is not fair. The reason why I'm always talking about, hey, this could be the last program, is I know how it works. We have people that threaten people that are associated with this program on a local level. And they say, well, Kevin Miller is a right-wing extremist. Really? A right-wing extremist promotes the area, is proud to live here, is grateful to be able to spend a morning with you. But I equate the libs to the Sith in Star Wars. They deal in absolutes. And that's where we are. And Donald Trump, you may not like how he responds, but it sure beats the alternative of taking it. The problem with the libs in the press is they're not used to taking it, but they sure are used to dishing it out, right? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. Coming up, much more of your phone calls. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave.
Gabbard.
Thank you, Larry. Let's find out what's happening in your world on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Let's go out to Los Angeles. Michelle Polino joins us now, Fox News Radio. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't really understand something. I just saw a preview last night. They're bringing back Magnum P.I. without Tom Selleck. Higgins is a female. We've got The Office possibly coming back. And we love The Office, Michelle, but it was never a ratings bonanza. It was always on the verge of getting cut. You've got Will and Grace and such. Hey, are we going to see something from Friends? Maybe. They're all going to be in the home.
Yeah, I know. Alf is supposed to get a reboot. Frasier is supposed to get a reboot. And Jennifer Aniston just talked to. She did a great article in Style magazine with her pal Molly McNierney, who is Jimmy Kimmel's wife. And they pretty much discussed everything from her new movie to her breakup with Justin Theroux, and even a Friends reunion, a Friends reboot. And she said, Aniston's like, I fantasize about this. We talk about it all the time, we being the Lisa Kudrow and Courtney Cox. But she said, we'd have to talk Matt LeBlanc, who played Joey, into it, though, because he gets that question all the time and he doesn't like it. So we definitely have to talk him into it. But she said she would love it. It was literally the best time in her life.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Of course, I just, back to my point, though, is Hollywood run out of ideas when we're I can't imagine Magnum P.I. without Tom Selleck and the CBS liner, hey, you remember him? You remember no, I remember Tom Selleck is who I remember.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't. To me, it's interesting. I literally do maybe 2 to 3 stories on reboots each week. That's how prevalent it is right now. And so I just think Hollywood is too afraid to do new stuff. They don't quite get the internet yet. You know, they don't quite get what YouTube and streaming has to offer. So what they do is they're just doing reboots in order to assuage financiers. You know what I mean?
Sure. Because instead of having something new and creative, we'll just go back to the old, hey, I've got something for you.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you make of Les Moonves?
So here's what I think. I saw that Time's Up, the legal fund that was created for women, by women, and it is financed by the wealthiest women in the country, from technology sector to entertainment to the media. It is very, very, very influential. And they sent out a warning shot yesterday to Les Moonves. They basically tweeted at CBS, "We believe the women," and then they tweeted a picture of some quotes from the women in the article, and then all they said was, "We are watching." So with that said, I think he's out. I do not think that, I think if CBS doesn't negotiate a way for him to leave and step down, they're going to be in for a big fight.
Well, and you got to believe that Julie Chen will be on her way out, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for people that, Michelle, for people that aren't familiar with Les Moonves and how strong and powerful he is, and the rise of his wife, Julie Chen, could you just give us a little background on them? It's amazing that Les Moonves, in the age of uncertainty, has really been that iron, if you will, through everybody's come and gone, but old Les has been there.
It's true. Les Moonves, he started in Hollywood in the studios here, worked his way up, built CBS's media empire, and has literally kept it. It made Les Moonves made CBS what it is today. But at the same time, he has a history, and with this history, he was married for many, many years, and Julie Chen was a morning news reader at CBS, and he was looking to start Big Brother, right? And that's when he called Chen in. Literally, the next year, he was divorced and he married Chen. His wife has come out publicly and said she will never watch CBS, and she will never have her kids watch CBS or allow them to watch anything with Julie Chen in it. That's how much of a big deal that was, but that, again, did not take him down.
Julie Chen went from, as you said, and I'll say like the third wheel on a failing CBS morning show. No one knew who she was. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's the face of CBS, and she has defended her husband. By the way, we do want to – this is only in Idaho. There are goats invading West Boise. Let's hear from Joe Parrish of Channel 7.
Well, Doug, I'm trying to stay out of the way because they're actually moving all their way down the street here in this neighborhood off of 5 Mile in Boise. I'll show you, though. They're right now just having a nice morning snack in someone's front yard. And this has been going on for, I've been told by some neighbors, for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And you can see that this is just a bunch of goats that showed up in this neighborhood here this morning. I talked with some neighbors. No one's exactly sure where they came from. Animal control is here. They initially showed up with one truck, and they realized very quickly that wasn't going to be enough. I've tried to take count here. There's probably 75 goats, maybe a little bit more here. They're actually scattered throughout this street down here in Boise. And again, no one knows exactly where they came from. Some of them do have tags on their ears, so I'm sure they'll be able to find their home pretty soon. But for now, they're just going yard to yard, eating everyone's front lawn. I talked to one neighbor who said, well, it's not great, but this way I won't have to actually mow my lawn this morning. But Doug, we're going to stick with this story all morning.
By the way, Joe Parrish of Channel 7, our news partner at KIDO Talk Radio, talking to Doug Petcash. But this is the magic of the Treasure Valley. You'll have some people that maybe will make fun of this, but we're going to cover the goat story. We have goats ravaging a neighborhood off of 5 Mile, only in Idaho. And if you're new to the area, these are the stories that we cover. I've been doing talk radio for almost 24 years. This is the toughest town to do it in, just because what are you going to do? Are we anti-goat? At 580-5436, I mean, people are doing goat yoga. But it's nice to know that Channel 7 is going to stay with the goat story.
We're going to see exactly how this develops. Pretty interesting sight here in a Boise neighborhood.
Holly in Caldwell with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Hey, so I think that the problem with the press is they've, on their own, lost the respect of the people, whether the president makes a comment about whether they're the enemy or not. I think the people have figured that out on their own. I think that because of their bad behavior and their obvious ability to try to accomplish an agenda and to smear him from the time he's become in office, he has the right to say, obviously, I mean, it's just off the chain and over the hill to act like that and to talk to the press secretary that way. I think that they want to let that particular – I think the news media needs to be in there, but they need to request somebody else besides that idiot. And I think obviously the people, most of the people have already realized that they probably question what the press says anyway. There was a site that I've kind of been following recently called QAnon.pub, QANON.pub. People should check that out. I think it's interesting. I think that there's somebody with high-level security that has some clues about what the agenda is and why the media is on such a rampage to attack the president.
All right, Holly, appreciate that. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Just one more time, I can imagine maybe later in the day, Glenn Beck.
Larry, we have a developing story.
Glenn Beck will be talking about this. Let's go back to our friends at Channel 7. Remember, this is a developing story right now. Goats descending on West Boise.
An unusual story to report. We've now learned goats, a lot of them, are causing quite a scene in a Boise neighborhood. Our Joe Parrish is live in the middle of it this morning. Joe, what is going on?
Well, Doug, I'm trying to stay out of the way because they're actually moving all their way down the street here in this neighborhood off of 5 Mile in Boise. I'll show you, though. They're right now just having a nice morning snack in someone's front yard. And this has been going on for, I've been told by some neighbors, for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And you can see that this is just a bunch of goats that showed up in this neighborhood here this morning. I talked with some neighbors. No one's exactly sure where they came from. Animal control is here. They initially showed up with one truck, and they realized very quickly that wasn't going to be enough. I've tried to take count here. There's probably 75 goats, maybe a little bit more here. They're actually scattered throughout this street down here in Boise. And again, no one knows exactly where they came from. Some of them do have tags on their ears, so I'm sure they'll be able to find their home pretty soon. But for now, they're just going yard to yard, eating everyone's front lawn. I talked to one neighbor who said, well, it's not great, but this way I won't have to actually mow my lawn this morning. But Doug, we're going to stick with this story all morning. We're going to see exactly how this develops. Pretty interesting sight here in a Boise neighborhood.
Oh, my, Joe. Yeah, they are eating a lot of stuff. That rose bush they're eating is going to be gone in no time. We'll follow this today on KTVU.com and here on 7.
All right, Channel 7, they're on the case. You wouldn't have Jim Acosta covering the goats now, would you? That's the difference. You know, we cover everything from the goats in West Boise to Jim Acosta. More of your calls next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Pro-Life joins us now. Good morning.
Yeah, you know, those goats are obviously from a weed control company, and they probably were in some kind of a fenced area, and somebody left the gate open, and they got out, and so I'm sure the goat weed control guy, he'll be there pretty soon and try to round them all up. But it's interesting that happened. And,
well, have you dealt with goats before?
Yeah, we've had goats, and
I'd worry about the goat ramming you, or is that just a ram, or is that a goat?
No, that's just mostly the rams.
So
and,
the goat, their horns are just what? They don't charge you and get you with their horns?
Well, they mostly just would slam into you with their head down with their horns, you know.
Well, that would be what a ram does too, right?
Yeah, that's what the rams would do if they thought you, you know, they didn't like you or you were challenging their territory,
or if you disrespected them,
or you disrespected one of their spouses, you know, whatever. But anyway, the media are totally idiots. You'd think that they'd wise up because the American people now are catching on to how crooked they've been, but they can't. They're not intelligent enough. You'd think some of them would start trying to apologize and switch sides, but they seem like they think they can keep their control, but they're not going to be able to.
Look, you got crooked Hillary and the crooked media.
Yeah, I know, and they obviously know better than what they're doing. They're not stupid, but they're very arrogant, and they believe that they should be able to control things, and that's not the purpose of a journalist. The purpose of the journalist is to inform you and give you different viewpoints, but they just give you their viewpoint, and that's the only one that they believe is legitimate.
Sure.
So anyway, you're doing great there, and
well, what's your favorite radio station?
It's 580 KIDO.
I appreciate that. So back to the goats.
Yeah.
If people see goats going in their lawn, or how do you approach a goat?
Oh, they won't bother you. You could walk right up to almost any of them. They're not going to hurt you, and they'll probably try to stay away from you.
Well, what if they're eating your plants and whatever? How do you stop a goat? Give them a judo chop?
No, you just get out there with your broom and knock them around and tell them to get out of there, and they'll go out of there. You know, I mean, if they were in my yard, I'd get out there with my rake or my shovel or my broom or something and chase them around, get them off of my place, but then they'd go to the neighbors, you know, and eat them up. If they were at work, you know, they'd come in there, and there wouldn't be vegetation left on their place if the goats were in there for very long.
Well, I hope that this isn't a precursor of events to come where we have, you know, gangs of roaming goats running around causing chaos.
Yeah, well, see, they're kind of like communist socialist goats, you know.
The goats?
Yeah, they don't respect anything except they're just hungry, and they don't care about anything except feeding themselves, and they're not going to respect anybody else's property or whatever. They're just animals that go out there and eat up everything, and that's why they're good for weed control, because they will eat all kinds of nasty weeds.
Would you ever do yoga with a goat?
Nope.
Hey, there's a lot of people that do goat yoga now.
Oh, man, that is totally stupid.
Pro-life, God bless.
Goats are kind of smelly. They're not very clean, I don't think.
Voice of experience. God bless, pro-life.
Okay, see you.
Good morning, Dave. All right, Larry, thank you very much. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Great job as always. May God bless you and your family. Next week, it'll be Best Ofs, and Dave Petzo in for me on Wednesday, and we'll be back in a week, allegedly. God bless. Keep the faith, everyone.